Hi, this is Mike DiMartino, co-creator of Avatar,
And this is Bryan Konietzko, the other co-creator.
and welcome to the finale of Avatar: The Last Airbender.
These are the last 4 episodes of this 3-season story.
Yeah, and a lot of people were wondering if there would be a book 4, Air Book. We are here to tell you, there will be no Air Book.
Yeah, the seasons were named after the elements that Aang was learning in order to become the Avatar, and he already knows air. So
Yeah, we had planned on this being a trilogy from the beginning when we first pitched the show about 6 years ago. And so it's very satisfying to see it all come to a great conclusion. A lot of hard work, sweat, and blood and everything went into this, making this finale and the whole series in general.
and tears.
And tears too. We cried a lot.
Violence wasn't the answer. It never is. Then I have a question.
So we conceived of this these last episodes as like a 3-part movie. And what happened was the last one was just so full of stuff. There was no way we were gonna fit it into a 22-minute episode, so we ended up having a 4-part finale. And Mike wrote this first part, chapter 18.
Now let me hear you roar like a tiger, Dillo.
Yeah, it was really fun to kind of conceive of this whole ending as kind of a movie, even though we still had to keep them as separate episodes, obviously. We did kind of plan the whole story, kind of pitched out the whole story of these 4 episodes all at one time.
Come on, Zuko. Just take a break.
And there were definitely things that we knew, from a long time ago that we were going to have to deal with, and then some stuff as we got closer to the end of the series, certain things shaped themselves, like Suki coming back into the group, and
Yeah, certainly, probably at the beginning of the season, we hadn't thought about Suki being such a big part of the finale, but once we knew she was coming back in the show, and it seemed just natural that she would stay with Sokka and the gang. And it was nice to have her there. I think she did some good stuff.
Not bad, Baldy.
So one of the challenges I thought when we were first pitching out this story was, I felt like we kind of wrote ourselves in a bit of a corner where we had already said that Aang had to fight the Fire Lord before the comet came. And so starting to have a little more conflict at the beginning of the story, we had to come up with a way of explaining why he is not fighting the Fire Lord before the comet comes. So we developed this idea where we haven't seen it in any of the episodes, but the group as a whole have kind of decided Aang's not ready yet, and they're going to wait a little while. Of course, they did not fill in Zuko on this decision of theirs, so he's very confused why Aang's not doing his job, basically.
And we also, pretty early on, before we kind of realized that issue, we knew we wanted to step up the Fire Lord's game. That he had a more specific plan than just taking over the world or winning the war or something. I remember Mike and Aaron and I went to brunch. It was a long time ago, but we were just like, what evil plan could he hatch? Like some way that he was upping the ante, and we came up with the idea of using these zeppelins during the comet. So then we had to look at how we could tie that in, and it was pretty cool that Zuko had gone to this war meeting, so we realized we can use that from episode 309. In that episode, it was we were looking at that meeting for a different plot purpose, but once we get to this point in the story, we realize the significance of what happened at that meeting. It was kind of fun seeing Zuko and Aang going at it again.
I was just thinking, it's kind of like old times.
Yeah.
Get to see a little action between the two, and they've both thrown a lot. And I don't think Zuko's trying to hurt Aang too bad, but he's trying to knock some sense into him a bit. But
A little tough love.
Aang seems to have a bit of an upper hand on him.
What's wrong with all of you? How can you sit around having beach parties when Sozin's Comet is only 3 days
So
away?
it was fun we knew this was going to be a pretty serious episode overall, serious finale that
I was actually gonna wait to fight the Fire Lord.
that at the beginning we could have a little fun with this beach party and stuff like that. So it was fun to see them all kind of with their guards down before what would turn out to be the biggest fight of their lives.
Yeah, this is definitely the lightest episode of the 4. Mostly with Sokka's antics.
He does have some fine moments in this episode. So here Katara is kind of talking about what Bryan was talking about before, how the Fire Lord, like she says, the Fire Nation's pretty much won the war. They control Ba Sing Se and a lot of the Earth Kingdom and stuff. So it was kind of what beyond just technically, having a lot of troops around the world would the Fire Lord do to sort of up the ante and up the drama of this finale.
It also was a character thing for us. Ozai, up to this point, had pretty much just been a guy who sat around in expensive clothes, and we needed him to be more dynamic, more active. So having him hatch this more aggressive plan, I think deepened him as a villain, not just a plot conflict.
And we definitely had to kind of be careful of how we approached such a dastardly plan, because we couldn't call it certain things, but it had to be serious and it had to be life-threatening. So
it was a challenge with the whole series.
yeah,
On one hand, we're not trying to make a really edgy show or something, but we want things to be serious, and we want the stakes to be high, or else it's hard to care for the characters as much, believe in their challenges and their plight. Sort of when we pitched the show 6 years ago, we said, it needs to end. It needs to have a beginning and a middle and an end. And just felt like to do an epic series, that's a necessity. There has to be a goal, and at some point you have to meet that goal or fail. And we're flattered that fans want it to keep going, but I always think, I don't know, if someone came up to me and said, oh man, I have this great story. It never ends. Let me start telling you. I just feel like I would walk out of the room. I don't want to hear a story that doesn't end.
that's a good analogy.
You got to know where you are in a story. So, I know there are some series out there that just go on and on and on. But for us, we love the Avatar world, and it's a very fertile place for stories and characters, and it can really keep going on in different directions, but this story has to culminate, conclude. It's really the best thing for the world.
Much like Aang's journey.
I remember there were a lot of discussions about, we knew we were going to have this beach party thing, but we're like, are they going to be wearing their swimming outfits for this really serious discussion? Is that weird? And we actually decided it was good, because
it had that. Yeah, it kind of made them more vulnerable.
Vulnerable. They just look like kids, and literally they're caught with their pants down. They're just having fun, wearing their skivvies, and then they realize, the Fire Lord's not going to beach parties. He's still planning serious attacks.
Yeah, and to me, the story is always stronger when your hero is like you said, caught with his pants down. He's not totally ready for this big battle. If he had trained with Zuko for another, couple months and been all cool and everything, you're not as worried for him when he goes into that battle.
Yeah, that was always the kind of the pitch. It's like this kid has to master 4 elements in a short amount of time, and usually it takes a lifetime. And you put a ticking clock on it, and then you have something interesting.
I like this little callback to episode 209 where Uncle Iroh had taught Zuko how to redirect lightning, and now Zuko's passing that knowledge on to Aang. It's a nice little illustration of the passing of knowledge and lineage of styles and stuff, which is cool.
Yeah, it's cool. It's been a neat thing that really kept working its way in. It's always, it traces back to Uncle and how he opened his mind to other styles and sort of evolved firebending.
I'll just do that.
And it's nice to see Zuko has grown so much that, at the beginning of the series, he would never have listened to Uncle about some water bending technique, He would have been solely all about the aggressive firebending, but now he kind of understands the different styles and different points of view in the world.
Yeah, Uncle was, very patient, always generous with his wisdom. And as the case with most kids, sometimes you're just not ready to hear it. It's going in your brain, but you're just not ready to really absorb it. And Zuko seems to have learned the most from Uncle after Uncle's been gone. It's when he
Definitely
out on his own, but he prepared him. He gave him all of these things to think about, realize.
All right, now they got their clothes on. They can do some fighting. Man, Toph carved some sweet rocks there.
That's why at sunset they had to wait for her to carve.
She I feel like she took this job very seriously. She wanted it, to be very realistic and wanted the danger to be heightened. So she was the perfect person to be the fake Melon Lord.
She wanted to articulate the joints on those rock guys, but they didn't give her enough time. So this episode was directed by Ethan Spalding, a good friend of ours. Worked on the show for a very long time, since the beginning of the series production. And this is the last episode he did for us. The first one was 203, Return to Omashu. And Ethan's just great artist. Just his drawings are so full of life, very wacky.
Sorry, but it just didn't feel right. I didn't feel like myself.
There. That's how it's done.
I have a surprise for everyone! I knew it! You did have a secret thing with Haru! No. I was looking for cooking pots in the attic, and I found this! Look at baby Zuko! Isn't he cute? Oh, lighten up. I'm just teasing.
That's not me. It's my father.
But he looks so sweet and innocent.
Well, that sweet little kid grew up to be a monster. And the worst father in the history of fathers.
But he's still a human being.
You're going to defend him?
No, I agree with you. Fire Lord Ozai is a horrible person, and the world would probably be better off without him. But there's gotta be another way.
Like what?
I don't know.
Yeah, I really like how everything came together in this scene. Zach Eisen, the voice of Aang, and Mae Whitman, the voice of Katara, did a great job, like conflicting over whether or not to kill the Fire Lord, and she's trying to help, but Aang's very frustrated, and it's just in animation, it's rare to have these kind of like what I think of as realistic moments. Kind of like right here, I really felt like Aang was a real kid with real problems, and his friends just weren't understanding him, and just kind of came out and was very frustrated. rant.
I also like about this scene, earlier Aang, he kind of throws out this joke pitch, like, maybe we could get glue and we could glue the Fire Lord's arms and legs together so he can't bend anymore. And in a sense, it's kind of what he does in the ending. It is actually very close to the solution he comes up with. And what I like is that Aang also did that in the Siege of the North. He was like, well, maybe we could ask the spirits for help, and they'd unleash a crazy spirit, power, and that's exactly what happens. And at the time, when he throws it out, everybody's like, oh, this is a ridiculous idea. But I think it plays to Aang's trickster archetype, that he is not your usual hero. He kind of goes about things in an offbeat way, but produces a positive result. Often just through mischief, or just not really doing what he's supposed to be doing, but somehow intuitively he's doing the right thing.
Just want to point out the cool chanting that's going on in the scene. That's kind of calling Aang and beckoning Aang to come to the island.
Yeah, Jeremy Zuckerman is our composer extraordinaire, and he did just an amazing job on these 4 episodes. Something that really helps pull them together like a movie is the score. He actually recorded, he and Ben Wynn, the sound designer, recorded a 16-piece chamber ensemble of string players, and normally, due to the schedule and budget, we'd have to use MIDI and things like that, but actually got real players, and just sounds amazing. And I mean, they always, the track team always does an outstanding job, but they really went above and beyond the Call of Duty on these 4, and it really just raises the bar and gives it a more cinematic feel.
It's pretty obvious. Aang mysteriously disappears before an important battle. He's definitely on a
I kind of like this scene because it's like addressing all the
Would his body still be here?
usual things that that we think of when Aang disappears, because this isn't the first time. So the usual theories are thrown out and dismissed, so that we can wonder for real where is he? We had fun throwing in a few callbacks to some other episodes. So we get to see the actress Aang from right from 317.
Rachel Dratch.
Yeah, because everyone loved that Avatar State Yip Yip line so much that it seemed very appropriate to put her in the crowd again. And this little scene with Toph and Zuko is delightful, I find. Not just because I wrote it.
I was gonna say, you like this scene because you wrote it?
But see, honestly, sometimes we'll be watching an episode and I'll forget that I wrote it or something, because I feel like we're part of every episode, so I kind of lose track sometimes.
They all mush together. I mean, it's a good case of design by committee.
I knew it was only a matter of time.
On one hand, the show has really kept a pretty singular vision, but it's all from the efforts and talents of many people. Kind of that magical combination.
We have a real problem here.
Definitely, we've just had so many wonderfully talented writers and artists.
Like Ethan back there drawing.
Yeah, little things like that
Sokka
sliding in the Appa spit kind of came out of the storyboard process that Ethan came up with.
Just his drawings of that were just hilarious.
Zuko, I don't want to tell you how to do your job, but why are we heading towards the Earth Kingdom? There's no way Aang's there. Just trust me.
That was Appa complaining too. He's like, man, I don't want to fly across the entire ocean. Thought this sequence came out really cool. This was storyboarded by some of our colleagues in Korea.
Yeah, he feels like the leader, you know, like everyone's kind of bowing down to him and seeing him off on this, what will be a disastrous.
These were difficult scenes to do before Photoshop and things like that. Luckily now they can repeat background characters and things, so it's a little bit easier to do huge ensembles of people.
So this is kind of the first beat in the finale too, where we see Azula starting to crack a little bit. We've hinted at it in 316.
I think kind of once 315.
Yeah, the beginning really was when May and Ty Lee turned on her and
that was
she blocked her and escaped, but or didn't escape, but
basically the moment May says, you know, you miscalculated, I love Zuko more than I fear you. It's like Azula's whole, like her whole framework of fear and domination and manipulation over the people in her lives just started to crack, and realized that right under the surface of Azula, it's a pretty scary mess. You know, she's very good in controlling people and being charming, or you know, good in social situations. Well, other than hitting on guys we've seen, but anyways, other than that, she's completely crazy. This is another case where being able to repeat animation helps the scale of things. I was pretty happy with these like Phoenix King logo things that Elsa and I worked up.
yeah.
Came out cool.
So of course, one of the talks, I think, as we were discussing the finale, was what characters that we've seen in the past would come back.
June!
And June, once Aang, you know, we knew Aang was disappearing and they'd have to find him and all that business. It seemed like she was a great character to bring back to help them try to track him down.
Yeah, we had an idea very early on about bringing her back. But if you remember, Mike, it was to find people for the invasion.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
It was like they were going to find the Mechanist and
I don't know who this June lady is.
some other people.
I like her.
And I love that Toph didn't know her from before, and that seeing this lady kick a bunch of dudes' butts, she respects that.
Yeah, I like that.
Wait,
That she's like, who's Jung? Ah, forget it. You know, she's kind of like some of my family members who haven't seen the whole.
Yeah, they just started in the middle of the series, and they're like, who are these characters? Well, I guess if it's important, I'll find out later.